If you want to build a six-figure business from scratch, then I'm going to be walking you through the process step by step. The very first thing that you need to do is evaluate your skill set, because if you're going to be selling something, hopefully it is something that you are good at. So what you should do is maybe sit down, take out a piece of paper, or like get on your computer or whatever it is and ask yourself, what am I good at, right? And when you're asking yourself what you're good at, don't be afraid to just literally put everything on the paper. I think people tend to kind of just, well, nobody's gonna want that, or I can't do anything with that. That doesn't matter at this point, because right now all you're doing is getting your skills. They're not yet ideas, you're just getting your skills onto paper. This is gonna be important because this is how you are going to actually turn your skills into ideas. So when you're putting your skills onto paper, literally think about the most basic things in everyday life that you think you're good at, right? Are you good at creating workout plans? Are you good at working out? Are you good at cooking? Are you good at meal prepping? Are you good at dog walking? There's so many different things. Maybe you're good at math. Maybe you're good at tutoring, right? It literally doesn't matter. Maybe you're a strong writer. Maybe you're a strong editor. I feel like I need a whole video on like, here are some skills you can monetize, because I could go on and on. But the point here is write down just every single skill that you are good at. Some of you are good at trading. Some of you are very good with the stock market. Some of you are really, guys, I'm not gonna keep going on the skills. That's a whole separate video, and let me know in the comments if you want that video. But point is here, write down your skills, okay? Once you have all your skills on a sheet of paper, the next thing I want you to do, you're not jumping to ideas yet. You're not yet jumping to ideas. The next thing you're actually doing once you have your skills on paper is actually asking yourself, what expertise do I have to back up this skill? And in my opinion, this is gonna be super important, because if you want to build a six-figure business, if you wanna build a business that is respectable or that can actually bring in like lump sums of money, you need to be an expert, or you need to have some qualifications to back it up. Okay, I know this is not what everyone believes. I know this is maybe not even the norm in a lot of industries, but me, an attorney, and as someone who is extremely careful with who I spend my money with and vetting coaches that I hire and mentors and any products I'm purchasing, I want to see the expertise. I want to see, why should I buy from you? Why is this thing worth my money, right? And if it's worth it, baby, I'm gonna throw the money at you. Okay, I know not everyone thinks like that, but I personally think choosing from the beginning something that you have some expertise to back up or to showcase, or some qualifications or whatever it may be, is going to take you a lot further than if you don't. Now, don't get me wrong. There's multiple ways to build expertise, right? So you have your skill set and then you're writing down your expertise. Let's say, for example, you said, my skill set is coding, right? I'm really good at coding. What's your expertise? Maybe you have a degree in computer programming. Boom. There's your expertise. You have a degree in computer programming. Maybe you don't have a degree in computer programming, but you got a certification from MIT. Boom. There's your expertise. Maybe you have neither thing in the educational sphere, but you've coded and created multiple different programs and multiple different websites that you can show to me. Boom. There's your expertise, right? So there's so many different ways to showcase expertise. So when you're writing down your skills, go next to it and put your expertise next to it. And ideally here, once you've done that, you want to take out or highlight the ones that already have expertise. Right? And these may not have been your most favorite ideas, or these may not have been, what you necessarily would have thought of as being your business or side hustle idea, but those are probably going to be the most promising. So, right, highlight everything that has expertise. Now, maybe you're like, okay, Sephora, nothing has expertise here. Well, one, I would encourage you to go back and write down some more skills or think about some more things. Or two, if that's not the case, then it's time to learn a skill and become an expert. Okay, you can learn how to create websites online. You can learn how to edit videos online. You can literally learn so much online these days. You can do YouTube. You can pay for a course, pay for someone's course that teaches you these things. You can learn how to be a digital marketer. You can learn how to be a social media manager. You could literally learn any skill and then become an expert through practice, right? And so if you didn't have anything here that you were an expert at, you would need to go learn the skill and then become the expert. And so then you're like, okay, well, if I had to learn the skill and I have to become the expert, how do I become the expert? You go do it. Go ask someone if you can build them a website for free because you need to build your portfolio, or for $25. Don't even do it for free. Hey, I'm practicing building websites and I just want to really build up my portfolio. And just because it is a business and it is a side hustle, can you pay me $25 for it? Right? Do that for maybe 3 or 4 people. And now you've got 3 or 4 websites that you can showcase and say that you've built, even if you don't have the education or like some other qualifications necessarily to back it up. You've got proof of concept. You've actually done this for people before and you can showcase it. You're not just relying on people to pay you thousands of dollars and all you're asking them to take you for is your word, you know? So that's what I would say is 1, go learn a skill, and 2, become an expert at that skill. If what you wrote down from step 1, there was no expertise attached to anything that you came up with. Once you've determined your skills and you've highlighted some expertise or done some digging and figured out, okay, maybe I need to go learn it, the next thing you're gonna do is you're actually gonna turn these into ideas. So I think so many people skip the first step and just jump to the idea step, and that's why they kind of like hamstring themselves, because all of this is the building phase, all of this is the brainstorming phase. This is where I believe you're deciding, is this gonna be a service or is this gonna be a product, right? And so many people are like, I just immediately know I wanna do a service-based business. I immediately know I wanna do a product-based business. And I do think that is definitely one way to start off, but it doesn't have to be the only way you start off, right? Some people just immediately know, no, I want to do a clothing line. I want to do like a makeup line, or I want to do some other product because that's what I love, right? And all of that is fine and well, but starting off with the skill set and the expertise, it should lead you there anyway, right? And so there's no harm in actually doing all of that before, because I think too many people jump so quickly to ideas and then product or service without having done the former, and then it doesn't work out. It doesn't work out because there's no expertise for it, or there's no proof of concept, or as I'm gonna get later into the video, there's no market or anything along those lines. So here you are turning your skill set and expertise into ideas. So I'm not gonna use the 2 I already used. So let's just say your chosen skill was dog training, and your expertise is maybe you have some dog training certificate. I don't know if those exist, I'm sure they do. Or maybe you've just trained tons of dogs before that you can showcase and you have videos of it, or whatever it may be, or people you can refer new clients to, right? And so dog training, maybe then you wanna start a dog training business, and that's your idea, right? And that would be a service-based business. You're going to start a business training other people's dogs, right? And so that's one idea. But maybe you say, I don't really want to do a service-based business. That's going to take up a lot of my time. So you want to do a product. So maybe you then need to start brainstorming, what product can I use to help other people learn how to train their dogs? And maybe your product is a course, and maybe your product is a dog training manual, or maybe your product is like a digital ebook, or maybe it's a regular book, right? So you see how your idea can go into either a product or a service, right? And this is where you're trying to figure all of that out. And in some cases, like in my case, I started as a service and then I developed from that service into products, and I even developed into software. So don't think that just because you start off one place, you have to stick there forever. So once you've chosen an idea, and I would actually probably recommend choosing 2 to 3 here, because the next of these steps that I'm gonna walk you through, 2 or 3, so 1 or 2 of them may fall off, so choose maybe 2 to 3 ideas. The next thing that you're gonna jump into is figure out if there is a market, right? Because there has to be a market for your idea. There has to be a market for what you are selling. Because for example, if you are using that same dog training idea, if you are gonna be a dog trainer and you want to sell a dog training course, but then no one has dogs, there's no market. There's no market for you to sell to, so you're not gonna make any money. You know? So this is what you're determining here is there a market for what I'm trying to sell? Is there people who are willing to pay for what I'm trying to sell? Because sometimes people say, oh no, there's a market. Like there's plenty of people with dogs, but maybe none of those people want their dog trained. Maybe those people aren't buying courses to have their dog trained. Maybe they're outsourcing it, right? Maybe they don't want to train them themselves. And so there still isn't a market. And that's a step a lot of people miss. Just because there's a lot of people with dogs, again, doesn't mean they want to train them themselves, or doesn't mean they want to buy a course to do so. And so you have to determine whether there's a market for the idea that you want to sell, or whether there's a market for the product that you want to sell. And how do you determine if there's a market? Well, there's so many different ways. You can do market research. So there are companies that you could pay to do market research for you. There are people out there, again, you can literally say, hey, I'm going to pay you this money and I need you to gather this information for me or get this information for me. Another way that's usually easier is to actually go out and talk to the people you want to sell to and ask them, hey, you have a dog. Did you hire a dog trainer? Would you buy a course where you can train your dog, or do you not want to train your dog yourself, right? And I would be a little bit careful here, a little bit here, because sometimes just asking someone if they would buy something isn't enough, because people may say, yeah, I'll buy it, but then when it actually comes time to purchase, they won't. So what I would say here is looking for people who have already paid for something, right? Who have already paid for something. That's going to be your best market, right? So people who have already hired dog trainers, or people who have already maybe paid for a video course, or people who have already done whatever it is you're trying to sell, people who already hire people to build their websites, people who already do things, then that's literally proof right there that there's a market for what you want to sell. The other way that you can do market research is really seeing where there's a gap, right? And usually that gap is going to be from where people are currently to where they want to be. There's going to be a gap. Something is stopping them from getting from where they are to where they want to be. And does your product or service fill that gap to get them to where they want to be? And is there enough people who need that product or service in that gap? Again, talk to people, or maybe you had that problem and so you know you would have paid for it, right? And so that's one of the ways, like how I started my own business. I had my issue. There was no one I could find to give me the type of information I needed to get to where I wanted to go step by step in my law school application process, because my family, I'm the first attorney in my family. And so I knew that this was a big thing, right? I knew that people needed this because I needed it, and I needed it bad, right? Especially because I had these big goals. And so I know like there's other people out here like this. And I knew it too, because I started a podcast and I had people on that podcast and I was hearing, right? So again, like getting out there and talking to people and getting that information from them, doing your own research, go to Reddit threads, literally go to Facebook groups, use TikTok, ask people questions, see what people need, see what people are Googling. You can literally use websites that will tell you what is the most Googled thing, like in your arena, right? So when people are searching for dog training, what are they Googling? Like, what are they searching up? Are they searching up how to train dogs, right? There's so many resources at your disposal that you can use to figure out, hey, is there a market for what I want to sell, before actually getting out there and building the thing or offering the thing and creating the thing. The next thing that I would say, which is probably a little bit more like unconventional, is that you actually have to care, right? You actually have to care. And the reason why I say you actually have to care is, one, because if people are going to buy something from you, or you want people to buy something from you, you need to actually care about them. You need to care about their problem. Their problem needs to be your problem, and you need to care enough to want to help them solve it, right? Like you can't just be in it for the money. And this is actually why I had you start off with your skill set, and I had you start thinking about what are you good at? What do you feel like you would like to do, or what you could offer, before just jumping into product or service, right? Because you actually have to care. And also not just because you want to be a good business owner, you want to be a good person, but also because when you're building this business from scratch and you're trying to hit six figures, which very few, right, like business owners do, you have to care enough to stick it out even when you're not making any money. You have to care enough to stick it out, to put in the hard work if you're working full time, right? You actually have to care enough to keep putting in the effort that's required long before you start seeing the returns that you want to be seeing. So that's going to be super, super important. The next thing that you're going to do after you have all these things in place, you've proven that there's a market, you care about what you're doing, you know if you're doing a service, you know if you're doing a product, is you actually have to market it. I feel like nowadays in the social media era, this is a little bit, I'm not going to say it's easy, because I don't by any means necessarily think like growing on social media is easy, but what is easy is just putting yourself, well, that's not easy either. But you do have to market, right? And what I am trying to say here is social media is at your disposal. Pick a social media channel. I recommend picking 1 to 2 social media channels and start talking about your offer. Start talking about your product. Start talking about your service, and do it every single day, okay? People have to know about it. People have to learn about it. People have to hear about it. And that is how you're going to make your first sale. You actually have to be marketing the thing, right? And you can actually test it, right? You can test market it before you fully build it out. So like if, for example, you're doing a service, before you go and build a website and go build all these other things, you can test it and you can say like, start talking about how you're doing this dog training business, and you'll be happy to train someone's dog as your first client. You don't even have to let them know that you're your first client and publicly, right? You would tell it to them privately, but you're happy to train someone's dog, and this is what you can do for them, and start doing that before building out everything else, just to prove it to yourself that you can make that sale. And I'm not even telling you that sale is going to happen instantly. It probably won't, right? But get out there and start talking about it and market it so that you can make your first sale. And if even one person buys it, there is your proof of concept. There is your proof that what you are doing, someone out there will buy it, because my philosophy is if someone will buy it, there's other people out there that will buy it. Right? And so that is what you need to start doing. You need to start marketing. Choose the channel that is most conducive to your strengths. If you like video, TikTok and YouTube is perfect for you. If you are more of a text person, then think about Facebook, X, or Threads, right? And then also you have to figure out who your audience is going to be. So this is the next thing. You need to figure out who your audience is going to be, because there's different audiences, and no saying like, oh, woman. That's too broad. That's too broad of an audience. You really need to narrow it down and figure out who you're going to be marketing to, because that's how you create an effective marketing strategy, right? Are you marketing to, I don't know, financial executives who don't have time to train their dogs? Now that's a specific market. Right? Financial executives who have new puppies or don't have time to train their dogs, and you'll train their dogs for them, right? And that's who you talk to in all of your marketing materials, on all of social media. You can go door to door. You can go to the neighborhoods they're likely to live in and tell them you're doing. There's literally so much things that you can do there. So find your audience, or think about who you want your audience to be, and then get to marketing. The next thing that you have to do is you have to be willing to put yourself out there. So I think, a lot of people, they want to build a business, or they want to do things on the side, and they want to do it in addition to their full-time income, but they're afraid to put themselves out there. Like, oh, my friends, my family, they all follow me on social media. Well, block them. Like, if you're worried about them, then block them, or start a new account, right? If it's going to bother you that much, because you have to be willing to put yourself out there. You cannot build a successful six-figure business if you aren't willing to put yourself out there. And yes, that also means opening yourself up to critics, but I promise you, they don't matter. Right? They really don't matter. And coming from someone who had critics when I was first starting, and then now those same people are like, oh my gosh, I'm so proud. It's like, all right, stop, right? And so just kind of prepare yourself for that, but also be prepared to like, no, it's going to happen either way. And they don't matter. It doesn't matter. And down the line, when you're succeeding, they're going to be right where you left them, right? So just remember that. The next thing I want to say to you is be prepared to be in it for the long haul, right? Building a six-figure business is not something that's going to happen overnight. It's not even something that's likely to happen in a year, right? It takes time to build a six-figure business, but putting in the right steps, going through the right steps, making sure you're choosing the right thing, making sure you're in it to help people, it will come, especially if you get coaches, you join communities, and you have mentors. This was a big thing for me. And this is the next thing that I want to talk about, because for me, getting my business to, the mid six-figure mark was all about the communities I was in. It was all about the coaches I hired and people who helped me along the way, because the fastest way to the top is to go there with other people, or to have people guide you on your way there. And so yes, sometimes that may mean investing in yourself and in trusting and investing in your business idea, which is why I think it's also worth it to actually just think about what you're wanting to start in the first instance. Now, if your goal is not to build six figures, then hey, well, this video probably isn't for you, but then you maybe can do a little bit less. But if your goal is six figures and you do want this to be your full-time thing, then recognizing and thinking about what is your return on your investment and how much are you willing to put into that to get your business to where you want it to go. And guys, that's going to be it for this video. If you liked this video and you want to know what I did to build a business that makes over $400,000 a year, the video video you should watch is how I made over $500,000 last year. I give you the actionable steps that you can take in that video as well, and it's a great complement to this video, and the steps are completely different, so I encourage you to watch that video. It'll be up here next once this video is over. Also, I am thinking about starting some kind of community. I don't know what it's going to be, but if you're interested in getting on the list for that or just being notified of however I'm going to build that, then make sure you're following me on Instagram at Sephora Gray Esquire, ESQ for short, and click the link in the description box, which is going to be obviously going to say something like future community. I really don't know because I don't know what it's going to be, but make sure you click that link in the description box there and comment down below and let me know what you are thinking about or what you would like a community to include. And I will see you guys on my next video. Don't forget to follow me on all my social media at Sephora Gray Esquire. That's ESQ for short. And I will see you on my next one. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.